Raymond Wittbrodt was born September 13th, 1920 in Flint, Michigan, one of 5 children to a Buick auto worker. In this family, the Catholic faith was extremely important. Raymond worked for the Flint Journal Circulation Department for over 3 years and also worked for Buick Motor Division. In August 1942, Raymond Wittbrodt was inducted into the Army. 4 months later, he requested a transfer to a special unit then called the Paratroop Division. Also at this time, he became engaged to a Miss Mary West of Flint. After volunteering for the paratroops, he soon learned that he was in training for an elite American-Canadian commando unit called the 1st Special Service Force, which operated behind enemy lines on special missions. Upon his travel to training camp in Montana, Raymond must have wondered what exactly was going on because he could not look out the windows because they had been painted. Wittbrodt first saw action in July 1943 when the 1st Special Service Force invaded the Aleutian Islands to face the Japanese. However, they had vacated before the invasion. By November 1943, Wittbrodt's unit reached Italy and was tasked with taking 2 key mountains near the German Gustav Line. One of these was Mont La Defensia, and it seemed impossible, but in the end, the 1st Special Service Force took it. Raymond's regiment then was moved to help with the invasion of the Anzio beachhead. The 1st Special Service Force helped to hold 2/3 of that line near the Mussolini Canal and the Pontine Marshes. Part of their duties dealt with patrolling and conducting nighttime covert operations. It was during these nighttime patrols that the Germans came to refer to them as the Black Devils, because they raided enemy lines, wore black face paint, and left brochures behind that read, "The worst is yet to come." Sometime during the invasion at Anzio, Raymond Wittbrodt contracted jaundice and had to be hospitalized. He was there until May the 23rd, 1944, when he sent his last letter home to his mother and soon rejoined the lines at Anzio for the breakout toward Rome. It was important to Raymond Wittbrodt to rejoin his fellow Black Devils. He was killed in action near Rome on May 29th, 1944. He left behind 4 members of his family and a fiancée. We learned of his death 1 month later. Probably the biggest thing that I learned from uncovering Raymond Wittbrodt's life is that there are many, many men and women from the Second World War who don't have a lot of records, information, or even family members left behind to remember the sacrifice of those that Raymond made. Last night I had a very unusual dream of my grandparents. My grandfather served with the 815th Engineers on the Anzio beachhead not far from where we are standing. My grandfather, Merlin Ross, came home from the war. Raymond Wittbrodt did not. So this afternoon, I take a moment and I say thank you, Raymond Wittbrodt, for doing your job and the sacrifice that you made so people like my grandfather could come home from the war.